We welcome you, dear traders and partners. Today, our guest is a successful trader and manager of colossal funds and the owner of his own New Wave trading school, Denis Kovach. Denis, hello. Thank you very much for finding the time to devote it to the interview.
Hello to everyone. Thanks for the invitation. I'd be glad to share my experience, my knowledge, and some ideas.
In fact, there are enough questions we've prepared. And the first thing I would like to ask, let's say a question for a million, is a question about your personal life. Well, if a successful trader has a personal life, it is always behind some kind of veil. And with your permission today, let's try to open it a little bit. If you Google Denis Kovach right now, you can very easily find a video called Forex Family Affair, interview with Denis and Irina Kovach. I understand that Irina is your spouse.
Yes, right.
And did you really manage to have the same hobby, being a married couple? What is her attitude to the financial markets?
Well, look, Artyom. Firstly, in my admittedly biased opinion, a trader is usually a lonely person anyway. And it doesn't matter here, in fact, if a trader is married or not. It doesn't matter. The thing is the amount of time that we spend in front of monitors while analyzing charts, trading perhaps. The thing my wife is most jealous of specifically is my business. Perhaps the title Forex, a family affair, in our personal case is not quite accurate, because after all, I'm the only trader in the family. And when my wife initially tried to ask me something like, "And what are you doing there?" from the point of view of interest, as a professional, she wanted to take part in this a little. So this is how it happened, right? And I forbade her to get involved. I said, no, there should be only one crazy in the family, and that's me. I will not give up this role to anyone. That's why, please, you stay the way you are. Do your own thing. I will help you with this thing, and as for trading, investments, and similar financial things in general, this will be my prerogative. Only one person should be this nervous. The second one should always have a sober mind. And as a matter of fact, we don't generally have any veil, like you said. So my personal life, I would not say that it's completely sealed, because we travel quite actively and often. And on Instagram, you can also literally track our movements very easily when this happens. And we don't live in one country, you see. We originally came from Ukraine, and even from one region. I was born in Dnipropetrovsk. Ira was born in the Dnipropetrovskaya region in a small town. And now we currently live in Batumi. So this is not very close to Ukraine. And in general, trading as a family business, I like it because it gives freedom. Undoubtedly, I have always associated trading with freedom. It's not work. I would not call trading a job. For me, this is a lifestyle. Because wherever I am, today I can be in China, tomorrow I can be in Thailand. The day after tomorrow, I'm returning to Georgia. I'm always available on phone, so I'm watching how my guys trade.
You hold your finger on the pulse.
Yes, I can't live without it, because I feel if I don't look at this thing, the rates for 3 days, some sort of breakdown starts, and I feel discomfort. That's why, yes, this is already a part of life.
As I understand, like you said, you came to Batumi, Georgia, from Ukraine. And why Batumi?
This is how it happened. We bought an apartment back there in 2015. While the repairs were done in 2016, we decided to spend the summer in Georgia. And at first it was like this. We arrived for 2 months in 2016, lived there, got to know everything. Well, yes, cool, interesting. Our profession is not that simple. I would say it's difficult as hell. And when you go out to the balcony and you have the sea on your left and the mountains on your right, no matter what the situation on the market is, you start having this internal state of balance, and all of it calms you down, you see? And so then, in 2017 and 2018, we already remained for 3 or 4 months. And then as a result, with large packs and huge overweight luggage, we moved there. And now we have been living there since the end of May. And maybe we'll return to Ukraine to families. I think at the end of December, we'll leave for a month and a half and then go back. Because it's still nice when we see snowing on the street. It's in Ukraine. Everything is gray, gloomy, fallen leaves. And then you go out into Batumi, and the sun is shining. It's 10 degrees Celsius in January. The sea is nearby. Everything is green. Like it or not, the aesthetic pleasure is still enormous.
The traditional question from us, why AMarkets? What was the final argument thanks to which you decided that AMarkets is your reliable partner?
Initially, my good friend, trader, partner, who was also a very nice person, suggested AMarkets as he was more familiar with AMarkets and naturally knew more. Initially, he offered, and I said, "Come on, I'm already trading on CME. I mean, I have a broker. Why do I need another one?" He said, "Well, try it, and then decide." And no one forces you. It is impossible to force a trader to do something. Look, you'll just make your decision. It's worth it. It's not worth it. Because after all, I have what I call my people, meaning they are my clients and friends. So many of my clients have already become friends, visited me, of course, and they often ask me, naturally, and what broker to choose for trading. Which can you recommend? So I can't suggest just any company without testing it on my own. Mostly, it will be bad for me because if it is a fraud, after all, the advice came from me. And since I speak as a public figure, I must respond properly. In fact, giving my name, putting my head at the stake, so to speak, for the quality of this product. When he advised, I decided to check it out myself. Then I installed the platform, looked at the offered features, like about opening and closing, the speed of trades, how orders are executed, your no dealing desk system, and how everything works, type of accounts, and so on. And in fact, I came to the conclusion, why not? Because now, unfortunately, there are so many pseudo-brokers, since it's not that hard to get a license and start working. But when it comes to quality of service, it's a completely different issue on a completely different level. Of course, that's why I collected data. Online reviews, for example, posted on the internet, are not always objective. Because there are so many websites where freelancers sell their services like I'll write a review or something else, and for 5 cents they'll write anything. That's why I don't think this is some kind of unbiased information. The unbiased information should come precisely from those traders who tried working with a certain broker, with their managers, like this, or someone who experienced this personally, and have thoughts about their work and services. I mean, I trust people from this business. Then yes, then it will be objective info. And I gathered information precisely from my partners, whom I personally trust, not someone unknown and out of this business, but only the people with whom I work and trust. We were having webinars together, and when I realized that yes, indeed, there were good opportunities for traders in this company, plus the broker provides nice bonuses as well. Yes, that's why I said yes. And after I started to recommend AMarkets, I have not received a single negative feedback. I'm constantly in touch with my guys, ask them, how do you trade? How are your orders executed? Are there any slippages, requotes, and so on? So, how the broker behaves, the condition of rates during the release of important news, like the interest rate in the Fed or something like non-farm payrolls. So far, there were no problems, so I'm satisfied with everything.
Taking this into account, what would you advise to other partners who are now thinking about joining our company to earn money?
To begin with, you need to test it on your own. You can't decide on a product without trying it on your own. Check all its features from all sides.
Totally agree.
First, you need to test this through you, and then, when you're personally convinced, only then can you recommend. Naturally, I will never recommend something without testing. I believe that any sane person will not recommend something without testing it on his own. That is why, first of all, you ought to check on your own, watch, show, explain, describe in detail what exactly the difference is between, let's say, AMarkets and other brokers, and let the person decide on his own. So our task is just to recommend. We don't take money from a person. We don't bring it here. Well, it's wrong. We don't do things like this. No, we just say, you see, I'm trading here. If you want to join me, welcome. So I offer such an option. And if a person has sense, he will try it, feel it, make a small deposit, trade his deals a little bit, look at the entry-exit points, and if everything is fine, and then he can start full-fledged trading.
Dennis, just recently you've posted a survey on your Facebook page asking for the opinion of traders, maybe even some investors, on automatic expert advisors systems. And the most popular answer was, well, negative. Let's say they do not trust them, and so on. Question: what do you think about them? What is your opinion about this? Do you use EAs in your trading? Is there any kind of advisor that could become the Grail?
Well, first of all, the word grail already has certain metaphorical meaning. The grail in trading, as you know very well, does not and won't happen. The only grail is here, and that's it. It can't be anywhere else. It can't be automatic. I started my trading career with advisors as well. I also tried different options they offer. It was martingale. It was anti-martingale. Trendy things. It was flat. It's easier to count what I haven't tried, I guess. But I can't call my experience very positive, not in this niche. So I came to the conclusion that I prefer manual trading more. Though I know, for example, among my students, among my clients, there are also people who are quite actively using precise algorithmic trading as expert advisors. But you need to clearly understand one simple thing. There is no such advisor that would work completely in an autopilot mode that will earn you money. It's like a money printing machine. The same myth promising you just come in, click a button, and it will spit out money. No, of course, this isn't and won't be. I think you need to monitor every advisor. You need to track the release of any important news. For example, take Brexit, the interest rate, because we don't know for sure how the advisor will be able to work out such situations. And if, God forbid, it will be, for example, the martingale scenario, then it might happen. For example, there was a situation when the euro departed from the franc. I think all of us understand how this ended for many traders. So these are some force majeure circumstances, but they always need to be taken into account. That's why I personally believe the trader's head, his brains, his mind, and also the major thing, intuition, can't be replaced by any algo system. I relate more specifically to traders who trade exclusively on their own, without the help of advisors, scripts, and so on. I'm fully for manually trading, but I don't deny algorithmic trading at all. The main thing is to do it wisely, with limited risks. If a person makes money with this, it's his right.
So you have been in Georgia for a long time.
Yes.
Can you briefly describe traders from Ukraine? Traders from Georgia, maybe. Let's say they share the same mentality, special attitude to trading, and possibly the attitude to this way of making money.
In fact, yes, I can. And moreover, because I know traders from Georgia, specifically from Batumi and from Tbilisi, and people who deal with prop trading, who trade on CME, who trade with the help of NYSE, and actually there's a big difference, I must say. So, for the first part of your question was about the common mentality. Of course, they have quite a temper. And it is also noticeable from their trading style. What I mean is, Georgians are more reckless. I would say because gambling is allowed in Georgia. There are a lot of casinos. I think at least 12 of them are now located in Batumi, and it is planned to open about 30 more in the next few years. And you can't do it without passion. It motivates. Of course, I mean local people are gambling and taking risks easier than we do. I mean there is a difference. It definitely is. This is what I saw with my own eyes and can definitely talk about it.
I know that you travel a lot. What country would you like to visit next?
I want to visit Vietnam next. I really liked Asia. In particular, I like Thailand. It's just a bomb, probably because we also had our honeymoon in Thailand, you see. And while we were in Phuket, we went to 11 islands nearby. The province of Krabi, on Koh Phi Phi Dun, and the nearest archipelago. And in such a way, Thailand overcame me completely. A gorgeous place, awesome food. People are they call it the land of smiles. So no matter where you go, you see people smiling, right? I mean, it's very pleasant. It's nice. In any case, the internal state of some kind of permanent joy. That's what I call it. And the same similar impressions came from my friends who visited Vietnam. I really want to go there too, because nature is similar and the people are similar. In general, I love such bright places.
Well, what can you say about Montenegro?
The nature, of course, is beautiful. I'll also visit the seaside coast too. Many of my friends have already recommended certain places to visit here, so I already have a sightseeing list that I need to check off. Budvakotor is a must-see, as they say. I'll definitely go to those places too, and then I can have an unbiased review. Because now, unfortunately, I've seen not even one side of the coin, but a half of the side of this coin. Don't want to talk about the whole coin. It's kind of difficult. In general, the impressions about the people are very positive. I've noticed people are not aggressive, but some are so tall.
By the way, many people notice this too.
This is the first thing you notice after Georgia. Georgians, as a rule, aren't very tall. They're quite small. But here I feel compact. Somehow I'm getting smaller because everyone is taller. Even girls are half a head taller than me.
All traders, especially successful ones, probably hit a rough patch when they make wrong investment decisions.
Yes.
When their work goes through drawdowns and so on. What was your biggest failure in a trading career? And how do you personally work out the stress commonly associated with drawdowns?
I think the biggest mistake of a trader is what causes this rough patch. Why is this series of losses happening? Overtrading for sure. Why? Because when a trader enters the zone of the so-called negative tilt and he begins to overtrade, he stops being a trader. He already becomes a player. And trading stops being trading. It turns into gambling. And then the trader is trying his failures, the previous unsuccessful transactions. He's trying to compensate for them, return them, trying to enter where, according to the algorithms, he should not enter. So this is a purely psychological feature of negative tilt, and, of course, this leads to the series of losses. For example, I had such moments. In fact, personally, I think that now my weakest trade in trading is only psychology. This is exactly what I have. And to a large extent, many traders have it. Psychological moments appear when 2 or 3 failing trades come in a row. Not necessarily for one instrument. It may happen. These fails happen. Let's say with currency pairs. For example, in dollar pairs. Some news about dollars was released. And if the deals were about dollar pairs, all deals just go down. If they knock you out, then you sit, scratch your head and think, damn, why didn't I close it? For some reason I didn't. Why didn't I? And you have this certain kind of fear of opening a deal, and you have this thought, what if the same thing happens again? And you begin to look for moments capable of changing everything somehow. This moment is overtrading. In conjunction with the negative tilt, this moment leads to losses. When it happens to me, it's literally once a year, not very often. At first, when I was beginning my trading career, I unfortunately received some very bad training from the point of view of money management. Unfortunately, many traders underestimate the concept of money management, risk management, underestimate because, well, I think many of them are not even aware of these concepts. Well then, they are not traders, they are gamblers. So gamblers do not need to know this, but traders need to know this first. And at least 50% of success depends on money management. It doesn't matter where you entered. It doesn't matter where you went out. The question is how you managed risks. Because even if you are trading wrong, but you have proper risk management, you can still remain a winner. That's why never underestimate the moments of proper money management. And personally, I should say about my experience and the way I struggle with it, I always try to be distracted. I definitely understood one simple thing. When I see that I start to overtrade, or when I see that one of my partners who is also trading with me, we trade as a team, he also starts to overtrade, I say, so, wow, let's just, take it easy, go for a walk, take a rest, continue tomorrow. So at this moment, you obviously need to nip this thing in the bud, because it's like a tumor. If you don't start treating it right away, it will begin to spread to other tissues. The same is with trading. There is overtrading, then a person starts to overtrade. He needs to be stopped right away. Let him rest. His thoughts will somehow become clear. And after this is already possible to continue relaxed with a sound mind without any tilt moments and old memories from the past trades. You need to be distracted for sure.
Well, summing up what you've said, I ask you as a successful trader to confirm that losing trades, drawdowns, are absolutely normal in the financial markets, and this is not critical.
Well, you can't do it without them. In any case, trading is primarily risky activity, so we always work with risk. And that's why, of course, there are losses. Everyone will have risks. There are no failure-free traders. There were never such traders and never will be. Because traders who call themselves failure-free, they usually have one stop with the size of their deposit.
Yes, I am always skeptical about these traders.
Of course, because any smart trader understands this is an absolutely natural process. It's like a baby who learns to walk. He can't immediately get up and go without falling down. The same as with trading. You need to be absolutely prepared for this. There are losses, and this is a normal process. The major thing is to make sure that profitable positions, in any case, overlap the unprofitable ones. The rest is, as they say, a matter of technique.
I saw the information on your Instagram account, even the post where you wrote the following that you are absolutely not interested in cars. I can already conclude that you said that you really love traveling.
Yes, it's true.
But I won't believe that a person like you doesn't have any hobbies. What is your hobby besides the financial markets and travels?
Well, at first, the financial market for me initially was a hobby. Then it became a lifestyle. But surely you need to get away from this. Otherwise, you can just go crazy. This is a fact. I like to take pictures. Won't be too humble. To do selfies, this thing. Well, in general, I like photo shooting. I also like active travel. So when you come to a new country, to a new city, you basically live probably a new life each time. Because these are new impressions. In any case, they are always bright. Sometimes this brightness of foreign colors is positive. Sometimes it's a bit with a negative feel. Well, bright colors, no matter what. Every time reliving these moments, I recharge in a new way. It's like getting a piece of a new life. And then, honestly, this is really perhaps my deepest desire. To sit in a rocking chair when I'm old. To drink tea like this, maybe something stronger. I don't know what my aging will be, and my grandchildren would sit next to me and say, "Grandfather, grandfather, tell me how you walked in Seoul." And I will be, "Well, listen, kids. I mean, so you can really tell something." To prevent the life just passing by, and then look back and realize how many opportunities have been lost because of this work. That's why I don't want to be an old man, lonely and sad. And that is why I want to live a life as long as possible. That's why perhaps my hobby is photography and traveling. It is for sure.
Denis, you are the owner of the New Wave Trading School.
Yes.
I would like to ask, when did you realize that your experience is enough to teach other people? And when did this need appear to share this knowledge?
I remember it well. It was 2012, and at that time I was not going to ever teach anyone. I did not want this from the very beginning. For about a year, or even a year and a half, many traders, including me, were members of various trading chats. Then they mostly used Skype, back when we had no Telegram. And via Skype, many traders asked and shared opinions, charts, entry points. Well, actually, this is still happening. And I showed my achievements too. I had a lot of mathematical patterns back then. There were various Fibbo patterns and created different time-price opportunity charts. And in general, much more. And I just showed, and people saw that a really very good work was taking place. And then they constantly said, "How are you doing this? And how did you make it?" And I said in a nutshell, "Here's how I did it." And in general, such a huge number of people wrote to me via personal messages, "Can you teach?" In general, honestly, they drove me so nuts that I decided that it's easier for me to spare a month there to show what and how I do it than to reply to every person in PM. I thought that, in any case, I will spend time, and time is money, so why should I do it all for free? I gave a lot of things for free, and now I continue to give a lot of material for free too, when the other coaches take quite huge money for this. I give all this for free because, in my opinion, I share a lot. Because I didn't get much in my first days, so I try to share with new traders more than they gave me initially. At least I try to provide everything for free during their first days. And when I showed people what and how I trade, they liked it so much. They started asking me again. I thought, well then, if you want that, it's not difficult for me, not difficult at all. I realized that probably I got this from my mother. She is a professor at the medical academy and also has students. I thought that probably I should try it. What if I like it? And then the most interesting thing is that I understood one simple fact. When you bring information to other people, you will learn it much better for yourself. I began to notice some new details in my algorithms, the things I had never noticed before. When teaching someone, I learned myself as well. This is really like this. This is what I felt from personal experience, and that's why I believe that thanks to the fact that I do training, I have grown a lot, not just as a teacher and coach, but also as a trader.
Can you single out a few qualities that a trader who is striving for success should have?
Do you want me to be honest?
Of course.
Patience, 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 and patience once again. I believe this is just about sore things, about myself, because sometimes there are real trades that seem to be not clear. They'll go, they won't be a win, but you see the algorithm. Being aware of that, yes, with a greater degree of probability they can bring you good profit, but you close before the time, or even close to zero, or with a small plus, more or less, simply because you did not have the patience. And then in the end, in an hour, in 2 hours, in a day, this transaction clearly goes where you need it. And then you just sit and think, why did I get involved? And you really understand this is overtrading. You really understand it would be better if I went somewhere to walk in a beautiful place than to sit in front of the monitor. The result would be much better. Stay as little as possible near the monitor, and believe me, your deposit will be safer.
I know that once you worked for a long time as an insurance agent, and it's very, very interesting when this turning point occurs. When you decided that you had enough. When you decided to make the financial markets your main source of income and devote yourself completely to this.
In fact, I actually don't have any turning points at all. The fact is that I have not worked for anyone in my life, even a single day. I mean, somehow I passed this moment very quickly. That is why I really say that I have never, not a single day in my life, worked in an office. I didn't do any jobs in factories, in a restaurant, or elsewhere, just as an employee. I've always been a freedom-loving person. When I was only 18 years old, I still did not know what to do. Probably no one at 18 years old knows exactly what he or she must do, especially since I had to be a plastic surgeon after all. Yes, I see what the connection between the plastic surgeon and the financial markets is. Nothing at all. Absolutely nothing.
So you have a medical education, right? Or did you have such plans?
Let's say I finished the medical prep school, but I didn't go to the medical academy because I realized that medicine is not my thing. Of course, my parents were not thrilled because I have a few generations, the dynasty, all of them are doctors. And I was the only one out of this line that decided to end this dynasty. Decided to say enough doctors in the family. Now we need to earn money. And like that, it was one of the possibilities. I don't call it a job, absolutely not. It was rather a part-time job, you see. The insurance agent offered insurance services, endowment life insurance, property insurance, and so on. So I can't call it serious work in my understanding at the moment when I had this job. Of course, there are people who make big money in this business, respectful people. Yes, and I don't say this job is bad. No, I share my attitude about those times. I mean, I was rather free-minded back then. And thanks to this job, I had a rather random meeting, which perhaps set a completely different direction for my life. This random meeting brought me to a man who at the time, I remember very well, he was trading McDonald's, IG, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac stocks. At the time, I still didn't know such words. I thought that these words were sort of obscene words. What was he talking about? What kind of McDonald's does he trade? I understood it like that. You buy a burger and sell it elsewhere. Okay. Let's call it McDonald's trade. But what are these stocks, securities? Back then, for me, it was like they show in the movies. Many psychopaths are running around with papers and they are yelling something and throwing pieces of paper. This is how limited my knowledge about trading was. And then I began to slowly dive into, tried to figure it out and asked, is there any training in our city? At that time in Dnipropetrovsk, that man said, yes, there is. He had a friend who launched the course, basic ones, explaining very basic knowledge. Their courses at that time, I remember, they cost $100. Now I understand that the basic knowledge could have come from any book, for instance, by Billy Williams or Steve Nissen. And in total, I would have had the same knowledge for free. And so I looked it over and I got involved in this. I really liked it so much. I was really inspired. I was just 19 years old, not even 20, so I was still very young. Already in 2009 in March, I was just trading on NYSE. Mainly I traded the shares that cost a penny. At that time, it was 2009, March, the stocks were worth that price. Now T is probably worth as much as the stock back then. I was lucky. I did not exclude this and do not hesitate to say I was really very lucky because I got to the bottom of this crisis. No matter what stock you bought, that was a win-win.
I admit that one of the stories of your success is how you made a huge profit on the stocks of IG.
Yes.
You bought them for 40 cents, but managed to sell for $2. The ROI was 500%.
$2.45 to be precise. I closed the part of them for $2 and by $2.45 another part. Well, the profit is a huge word for this because I initially had investments, as far as I remember, about $300, more or less, and then I returned a lot on them. It turned out I already had more than $3,000 in closed positions. Back then, my eyes, instead of the pupils, had the icons of dollars. I thought, if I've increased it 10 times, next time in a month I'll increase it 5 times, then another 5, then at least 3 times. I was browsing the internet with an idea. They have such a yacht, another yacht, but this Envision in the Dominican Republic is awesome. How soon can I buy it? In 6 months? Fine.
That kind of thinking is very typical for traders who have recently tasted success.
Yes, it is.
And this kind of thinking, you just need to face it. You need to let it through yourself.
You're absolutely right.
It was also familiar to me more than once.
Probably everyone started with such ideas back then. All of us came here for the same thing. We did not come for work. We came for a dream. When we have this dream, of course, we want to realize this dream at max as soon as possible. Why should we stretch this out if we want a yacht tomorrow and a house the day after tomorrow?
And if we talk about the current state of things, what assets bring you the greatest income?
Now, since 2015, I've been trading precisely on the CME Group Futures Exchange, so I specialize in futures. Yes, I don't abandon Forex, especially since those who work with futures and Forex understand the analysis is technical. I mean working with the levels of building various resistance support zones, building the buyers and seller zones. All these things have to be done only in the spot market. Because when the contracts got expired, we get a forward point difference that starts to decrease closer to the expiration term, and the analysis of levels becomes absolutely impossible for futures. Whether you use a prolonged contract or you use the current existing contract, it is practically impossible to analyze it technically. That's why the technical analysis, part of the analysis I do with the MetaTrader, and part of the analysis, let's say 50% conditionally, is the analysis of volumes. I mean the exact volumes and the cluster volume. The indicator that I have is big trades, which for infusion for the print line, for aggregated or shared transactions, these are necessarily profile volumes, reference volumes for vertical volumes, and all these factors build a single core. And then I already do the synthesis of the technical part of the analysis and the volume part of the analysis, and together I compile them and receive the result.
So, when it comes to the certain categories of assets, where do you get the most profit?
Currency futures and gold oil. This is exactly what I'm constantly trading. Let's say it's my thing. I'm used to it. I know how they move. I'm used to various manipulations, shakeouts, and similar things, so I picked them.
Is it mostly the long-term trading?
On the contrary, short-term. Honestly, because of my temper, probably life in Georgia also added to it. You see, I am more of a short-term person. I really don't have enough patience for long-term trends. It's not mine. I can't sit here for a month and wait for when this deal will hit the term, when I could have closed it 50 times already. And I'll follow the trend another 50 times, and I'll take the same profit in small bits. Personally, I find it comfortable. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm not saying that it's bad. Everyone has his own style.
You are not only a good trader, but also a manager. At the moment, you manage about $2 million.
Yes.
This is a serious amount. This is serious psychological pressure and responsibility.
More than yes.
How do you manage to handle such pressure?
When I was just starting to become a managing trader, I remember that the first turning point I had 230 or 240,000 back then. This is the total sum for several investors, and I really felt that psychological pressure. I'm not afraid for this money. No, I'm rather afraid for the responsibility related to this money. Because I have some kind of hyper-responsibility, let's say, which unfortunately sometimes gives me discomfort. Because I understand if I took it easier, I would have earned much more than when I twitch like that for every dollar. And I made a simple decision that I need a team. I really started to create a team. Make this team of my students. You see, I clearly understand their algorithm, how they trade, what they do, what sequences they follow, and I see the full picture of how their thoughts develop. And consequently, I took this money, divided it in parts, created a master account. Everyone has access to this master account. A certain part is given to each member. Risk management is included. People trade. I watch from above and make sure all risks are taken into account. You see, I belong to those traders who don't worry about the profitability. Risks are more important to me because I'm deeply convinced that if you correctly plan the risks, then your profitability will automatically grow. There is no need to chase these mythical percentages of profitability. For instance, read all kinds of forums where pseudo-traders write that they have 50% profits, 30%, and in a month I ask, hello, where are you? Where's your 50%? And where did you disappear to? Why did you leave the forum and not reply? So, to avoid such moments, you always need to be very competent about taking risks. I tell this to all my students, and explain over and over that until you learn how to manage your trades and your risks, you will not become profitable traders. There is no need to chase. When they ask me, and what is your profitability percentage per month? I answer, young man, better ask me what risks do I have. Then I'll say how these risks result in profitability, more or less, because everything depends on risk.
Denis, how do you feel about the crypto industry, cryptocurrencies?
Honestly, negatively. Right now, I believe there is no legislative framework for all these assets. That's why they still remain part of the underground economy, no matter what you think. So there are still no laws that would bring them out of this underground. Moreover, in many countries, take China for instance, though negotiations are happening right now, cryptos are banned, and the ban doesn't go away. You see, this is the key point. I believe that crypto can't exist precisely at this moment, while it is not regulated by anyone. Naturally, the initial idea behind the crypto was decentralization. This is a free exchange of cash flows, and in order to bring it to the level right now, there should be a state crypto of some kind. Take, for example, the States. If the Fed releases some kind of cryptocurrency there, it won't jump as high as any crypto for 20, 30, or 50%. You won't want to pay with it in a restaurant. If yesterday this currency was 30% more expensive and today it costs 30% less, you don't want such drastic fluctuations, right? I mean, yesterday you could buy yourself, for example, tea, and today you could buy yourself a juicy steak. And the day after tomorrow you can only buy tea for this money, or only sugar for this tea. Do you catch my drift? So from the point of the payment factor, I believe that the crypto has no place for right now. But precisely from the point of a speculative instrument, yes, it has. That's why it is necessary to clearly distinguish between these two terms.
Denis, thank you so much for today's conversation, for your honest answers.
Yes, you are always welcome.
I'm sure that our traders and partners will enjoy this interview just as much as I did. Friends, our guest today is a trader, manager, and owner of the New Wave Trading School, Denis Kovach.
Thanks for the invitation. I hope that my advice will be useful to traders and they will not make the same mistakes that I made at the beginning.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, friends.